Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Beauty Tarot back at you again with another video. I would like to thank each and every one of you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and donating to my channel. I really do appreciate all the love and all the support. And thank you for those of you who've been booking readings with me. It is truly appreciated, okay? So guys, your girl's Patreon channel is up and running. So if you would like to support your girl, you'll be able to find the link in the description box below. I do post 2 exclusive videos per week, so go check it out if you feel called to. So before we dive in, if you've been loving the energy here, I have created a collection of spiritual ebooks and printable workbooks to help you along your journey. From manifestation rituals to love journal prompts, these tools are designed to help you align, heal, and rise. You'll be able to find a link in the description box below or on my Patreon channel under the shop tab. So this is going to be a collective reading, so there are no piles, and as you guys can tell by the title of this video, this is going to be about what comes to mind when people mention your name. So we're going to smudge the cards first so that way we don't pick up the energy of previous readings, okay? So what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, like, because I feel like right now, because we're at the end of the year, 2025, 2025 has been like a very turbulent year for these people, but then they're seeing you succeed despite the odds, okay? Despite the challenges and obstacles that you've gone through in your life. They're seeing you succeeding. They're seeing you level up, okay? This is what I'm getting here. People are just in awe of your level up, and your name is being brought up in conversation like constantly. Like, because I feel like, Christmas is around the corner, and I feel like you may have stopped talking to certain people, family members, but then your name is like in conversation. Your name is being brought up all the time. And I feel like it's also being brought up because you are not going to be there for the holidays. A lot of you went no contact with family members, no contact with past friends. It could have been like a long time. Maybe some people haven't spoken to you in years now. 7 years, 10 years, 20 years for some of you, depending on how old you are, and your name is still being brought up every time around Christmas, okay? So what comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, we have the Ace of Cups. So there is a heartfelt energy when your name is being brought up in conversation, because like there's still people, believe it or not, there's still people from your past, people from your childhood, people from your old neighborhood that are very fond of you. Like, they respect you, they think highly of you, and even if like you guys are not in communication anymore, they still have a lot of love and respect for you with the Ace of Cups, okay? So what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind? We have the Two of Wands. Yeah, like people, like what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're somebody who always had plans, okay? You're a visionary. You're the type of person that always looks forward in life. You always plan ahead. You're not the type of person that allows life to drag you down or take you down or crush your spirit. You've always been a warrior, okay? You've always been somebody who is leveling up, who's always like aiming for excellence, who's always planning for the future. You're never stuck. You never stay stuck. You've always been ambitious here, okay? So what comes to mind when people mention your name? Yes, you see, King of Wands. Extremely ambitious. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. They see you as somebody, like you are someone who is inspiring to a lot of people. Even if they don't want to admit it to themselves that you are inspiring, they know that you are somebody who's a go-getter, who is driven, who is focused, okay? Somebody who is self-assured, somebody who is extremely confident, okay? Somebody who has amazing leadership qualities. Some of you are going to be like, maybe you are in a leadership position or going to be very soon. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yes, we have the Eight of Pentacles. You have amazing work ethics here with the Eight of Pentacles, craftsmanship energy. meticulous, okay? Detailed oriented, polished. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You worked really hard to be where you at today. It didn't come to you like overnight. It was over time, okay? Day in, day out. Like you were putting in the work behind the scenes when nobody saw you working. Nobody saw you grinding. Nobody saw you when you were crying, when you felt like giving up, like you felt like you throw in the towel. You never did that. You kept on pushing, okay? And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Your grit, okay? What comes to mind when people mention your name? What do we have here? Ooh, we have high priestess. What comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're very spiritual. You're very much in tune with your spirituality. You're very protected. You know more than you let on. Okay. You don't overshare. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Like some people, they can be scared of you because they're scared of what you know, because you're not saying anything. Some people may have betrayed you, may have talked crap about you behind your back. And some of them, they're kind of like nervous or anxious because they wonder if you know, but a part of them feel like you know, but you're just not saying anything. With the high priestess, you're keeping it to yourself, like you're just moving in silence. You know, you're moving your chess pieces in silence, and that scares them because they don't know how to address you. They don't know how to come towards you. They don't know how to approach you anymore. Okay, you're definitely a mystery to them. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Wow, we have the Wheel of Fortune. You could be a Sagittarius here, and if you are a Sagittarius and it's your birthday today, happy birthday. Okay, with the I was gonna say the high priestess, with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, they know that you are protected for sure, and then you're divinely guided with the Wheel of Fortune. You have an anointment on your life with the Wheel of Fortune. They know that. They know that there's a blessing on your life. They know that spirit is protecting you. Even if these people are not spiritual, they're not into tarot, they're not into any of that stuff, they know that there is an anointment on your life. It has been proven based on what you've had to overcome and where you are today, how you're still standing. Because it's like there's one thing to overcome an obstacle and coming out of it like all like jaded, and overcoming the obstacle and coming out of it like on top. You came out on top. You didn't come out jaded, bruised, battered. You don't look like what you've been through. Like if you were to tell your story, people wouldn't believe you because you don't look like what you've been through. Okay, what comes to mind when people mention your name? Just one card, please, Spirit. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, Ace of Pentacles. Valuable. You're valuable. Some people, they feel like they lost out on someone great. Like, especially people that played in your face, people that try to play you for a fool, people try to take advantage of you, try to disrespect you. With the Ace of Pentacles, they're losing out. They know that they lost out on you with the Ace of Pentacles, because what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're extremely valuable. You're somebody who brings a lot to the table. You have a lot to offer. This person, whoever played you, because I feel like this could be like somebody who tried to put you in a position of being a situationship, but you just like you saw it for what it was and you decided to just deuces. You're like, I'm not gonna play this game. If this is what you're about, that's fine. Like I'm gonna take my L and I'm gonna keep it pushing. And that's exactly what you did. But now this person's realizing that they had a treasure. They had a diamond. This is somebody who's realizing that you were a diamond and it's already too late. Now they fumbled the diamond. It's like, you have like, let's say if you're digging, you find a diamond, because you don't know it's a diamond and you throw it back, and then you keep digging, and then after that you find a rock and you're like, oh crap, I had a diamond and I threw it out, and now I got a rock. Man, I want the diamond back. But then someone else picked up that diamond, someone else polished that diamond, someone else put in an effort to make that diamond and to polish that diamond into something beautiful. They didn't see your value then, now they see it now. Okay, so what comes to mind when people mention your name? What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, we have the Magician, Gemini, Virgo energy. Some of you could be Geminis or Virgos here, but what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're very skilled and you're resourceful. You're magical. You spoke something into existence. I feel like 2026 is going to be a year where people are going to have to swallow their words when it comes to you. Like they won't be able to mention your name without feeling some sort of hint of regret or hint of embarrassment, especially exes. Like your exes next year, 2026, they're going to feel like, let's say like you're single. Next year, you might find like somebody that's actually the one, like the one that's going to be there, support you, your partner. Okay, somebody's going to treat you equally, and then maybe like you guys are going to get married next year or the year after, but there's something major that's going to change for you in 2026, and it has to do with your status, your marital status, and your social status, like your social ranking. Like you're going to be in a different tax bracket next year. Everything is going to happen in like one shot. Okay, like you're going to meet this person, and then next thing you know, your salary is going to increase. You're going to get a promotion in a leadership position, and it's going to happen right in front of those people's eyes, and they won't be able to, they're gonna have to eat their words. Basically, they won't be able to look at you in your eyes. Like if they were to cross path with you, you will see. Like we have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, like what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you are a dedicated individual, because the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest knight in the deck, but the most loyal knight. The Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Cups. Yeah, they go fast. They're gonna run their mouth, but they fizzle out faster than the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is more steady. He's gonna go slow, but he's steadier. He's not going to crumble when the going gets tough. The Knight of Wands is gonna be like, it's taking too long. Let me just take a different direction. The Knight of Swords is gonna go fast, 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 but then he's gonna be like, I'm too tired. This is too much for me. The Knight of Cups is gonna be just romanticizing it, but he's not gonna go through with it. The Knight of Pentacles is gonna be like, okay, well, I need to do this, this, that in order to get there. I know it's going to take me this long, but I'll see it through. I have a plan. And that's how people see you. This is what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're somebody who has a plan, somebody who's dedicated, somebody who puts in the work. Okay. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Four of Swords. Yeah, like what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you are like unbothered with the Four Swords. You're unbothered, and that bothers them because they wanted you to care about their opinion of you, care about their like wanting to have their validation, but you don't care. Like you're comfortable in your own skin. So what comes to mind when people mention your name? Oh, we have the Seven of Swords. Some people could be talking crap, saying that you're sneaky, you're deceptive, but it's because you're moving in silence and you're strategic. Okay, your strategy, your mindset, the way that you operate is something that these people are threatened by. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Ooh, bounce. Bounce. They better put some respect on your name. Okay? It could be an Aries here or a cardinal sign because we have Cancer here as well. Or you could be a mutable sign because we have 3 mutable signs here too. But yo, they know that you're a bounce. They know that you're a natural born leader. You're a self starter, initiator, okay? You're driven. You know, they know that. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. They're threatened by that. They're threatened by your drive because the emperor, he doesn't need a crowd of people. He doesn't need people to validate him. He knows his value. He knows his worth, and he sits on his throne, and he doesn't need to move. The emperor, it's like, because Aries is the equivalent of the dragon in Chinese zodiac sign. Okay, so like maybe some of you could be dragons too as well. Even if you're not an Aries, you could be a dragon. And with this energy, like Aries, they could like succeed without a group of people. They don't really need that. They have the stamina, they have the drive, they're very strong, okay, headstrong. So they could, like, they're cardinal signs, right? So they could do things on their own without a group of people around them, just like Libras can, Capricorn can, and Cancers can. Okay, if you have any of those signs, you already are natural born a leader. Even if you don't have them as your sun, you could have them in specific placements in your chart, like your Mars, or like I'm getting like your Jupiter placements as well. Like you could have that in your chart, or like just conjunctions, like planetary placements that gives you that drive. You have that within you, and that's what comes to mind when people mention your name. Okay, what comes to mind when people mention your name? Just one card, please, Spirit. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Five of Pentacles. Ooh, this is where the regret comes in. There's some people, whenever your name comes up, they feel like nostalgic, but in a sad way. Some of them, they kind of remorseful, regretful for how they treated you, and now they're like looking at you like, yeah, Page of Cups, vulnerability. Like when your name comes up, there's some people that they feel like embarrassed or remorseful for how they treated you. Like a lot of them, they like, you may have had like a lot of heartbreak, abuse, deception, unhealthy relationships, heavy on unhealthy relationship, whether it's like friendship, family, or love, romantic relationship. It was unhealthy. Like you were always the overgiver, the person that was always sacrificing, the strong one. You know, with this energy, you were always the anchor. Nobody was there to anchor you. You were always anchoring people. They were like putting more onto you than you were receiving from the connection. And a lot of them, they feel some type of way with the Five of Cups and the Page of Cups. Okay, like regretful when your name is brought up. Yeah, we have the Knight of Pentacles again, like reliable. You are extremely reliable with the Knight of Pentacles. We have it twice. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. It's like somebody's reminiscing or remembering how you were always there for them, that you were always supporting them, you always had their back, you never wavered, like you were an amazing friend. But this person was not an amazing friend to you though. They were not reliable, they were not trustworthy, they were flaky. They were always flake on you whenever you needed them the most. But when they needed somebody to support them, like, you know, sob, or like with their sob stories, and then like trauma dump on you, you were that person to trauma dump on. But when you needed that support, when you needed that, you know, extra help, they were not there for you. They made you feel like you were too much, or you're overbearing, like, you know, like they were making you feel like you were not, like your feelings, your emotions were not as important as theirs. And the moment that you decided to take your step back and focus on yourself, now they're salty. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Yeah, we have the Knight of Swords. You're mentally sharp, mentally agile, very intelligent. Maybe you outsmarted somebody. There's someone that's kind of salty because they thought that they were smarter than you, but you turn out to be like playing the fool. Like you were just playing the fool. They were the actual fool. And now they feel some type of way. What comes to mind? Yeah, Four of Pentacles. You're guarded. When they mention your name, maybe somebody try to reconcile with you, they try to spin the block, whether it's a friend or lover or family member. They could be saying that like you're the one who's salty, you don't know how to forgive and forget. And it's like, no. If somebody is like, you know, you're not going to forgive somebody who tried to either tarnish your reputation, defamation of character assassination, all that stuff. You're not going to deal with somebody like that. What would you want that around you? Like, you know, it's like, you know, when that saying, who needs enemies when you have like friends like that or family like that around you? Like, you know, they're like your hidden enemies. Those, like, whoever these people are that are talking crap, saying that you're vengeful or you're holding grudge, you're bitter, are hidden enemies. They want to be able to abuse you, and for you to take it in the name of like, oh, this is family, or this is like we're friends, this is like loyalty. No. Oh, this is not loyalty. This is abuse. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Oof, you see? Ace of Pentacles again. Valuable. They know your value. They were just hoping that you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't see it. These are people that tried their hardest to make you feel like you had nothing to offer, that you were garbage. Okay, then if I'm garbage, why are you here? Why do you want to be around me? Who, you like the smell of garbage? You like the stinks? The stinks. The stench? Is that what you like? Clearly, no. We have the Ace of Pentacles twice. They know that you're valuable. Okay, somebody is upset because they don't have access to this value anymore. Resourceful. Like you brought a lot more to the table than these people ever offered you. And the reason why you may have felt like it wasn't enough is because these people were so greedy. They wanted more. They had nothing to offer you. They were just takers. They were like energy vampires. Okay. So what comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Queen of Swords. Yes. Now they're saying that you're bitch with the Queen of Swords. No nonsense. Like you have strong boundaries now. You're not taking people's BS anymore. What comes to mind when people mention your name? They feel like they have to tread lightly. Yeah, somebody feels like somebody knows they underestimated you with the Knight of Swords. Like something happened very quickly here because the Knight of Swords is here twice. But like when your name is being brought up in conversation, this person is agitated, mentally agitated. Because the Knight of Swords could also represent mental It's mental agility, but also agitation, like when your mind is racing and you're not thinking straight, like you do things impulsively. The Knight of Swords can be impulsive at times. So I feel like there's somebody who's impulsive, somebody who's doing things without thinking, somebody who's lashing out, because the Knight of Swords could also lash out, like say things without thinking, being emotional. So there's somebody who is like, your stoicism with the Queen of Swords is triggering somebody, is making them agitated. Like there's someone who's angry with you for like cutting them off. Yeah, we have the Eight of Pentacles again. What comes to mind is because you're somebody who is practical, somebody who is diligent, somebody who's hardworking. You have been invested in yourself. You have been growing as a person. You have been putting in the work with the Eight of Pentacles coming out twice. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name, okay? You're somebody who's extremely dedicated, somebody who's hardworking, somebody who's willing to put in the work, but you have those amazing work ethics, your craftsmanship. Like this is perfectionism as well, like you're perfecting your craft. And that's what comes to mind when people mention your name, like you have gotten better over time. Like I also heard you're aging like fine wine. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name, like you're aging like fine wine. You still look younger than like you actually are, so you still look like very youthful, okay, whether you wear makeup or not. If you're a woman, like even with your makeup, it's like your makeup is flawless, but it's not like heavy makeup where you're hiding a bunch of stuff. Like no, it's really like just simple makeup, everyday makeup that you wear, okay? And even without the makeup, your skin is flawless, your skin is healthy, your body is healthy. I'm getting like some of you with the Eight of Pentacles coming out twice, you have a very nice physique, sculpt by the gods, okay? Like if you are a man here, ooh, that body is looking like body, yada yada yada. What's the name? What's the name again? Oh my god. Megan the Stallion, okay? Your body is looking like, ooh, woo, we have the Hierophant, okay? You have a really nice body, but you see with the Hierophant, what I'm getting here, what comes to mind when people mention your name is that you're somebody with integrity. You followed um the path less traveled. You didn't take shortcuts to get to where you are. You had to put in the work with the Eight of Pentacles. Some of you, I'm getting like something about Taurus in Jupiter. I don't know why I'm getting that. Some of you got Taurus in Jupiter. Something about you're blessed. Like whatever you touch, you have the Midas touch with the Hierophant. Everything you touch turn to gold. You have you're really good with business savvy. Some of you could have a business on the side, don't have to, but like I feel like some of you, you will definitely build a legacy for yourself, like your name is going to live on, okay? But this is what comes to mind when people mention your name, like you have a lot of integrity. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Just one card, please, Spirit. Oof, didn't I say building a legacy? Ten of Pentacles is legacy building card. That's what comes to mind when people mention your name. You're building something for yourself. People are respecting that, but they have no choice now. Before they were like trying to downplay you, or they didn't want you to reach this level of abundance. They didn't want you to reach this level of success. Some of you maybe like, I feel like some of you could be married to a wealthy person, or you will marry into a wealthy family. Like your spouse is going to be wealthy. I don't know why I'm getting that. Some of you, I'm getting like with the Hierophant and the Ten of Pentacles. And this person is also going to elevate your status. Not that your status is low, because I feel like you are a right fit for this person, okay? Your spouse, okay? Because you put in the work. This is somebody who may not be self-made. Maybe their family is already wealthy, but they're going to respect you because you are self-made. Okay, you putting it, you're gonna go, like you're gonna be married to somebody or be in a relationship with somebody whose family values like hard work, being self-made, building a legacy for yourself, like being dedicated, leadership position. They're gonna value that, and they're gonna embrace you. This family, like this person that you're gonna be married to or be in a relationship with, their family is gonna embrace you. They're gonna respect you. What comes to mind when people mention your name? Oof, the King of Pentacles wanted to come out. What comes to mind when people mention your name? We have the Ten of Wands. Oof, they feel burdened by you. Your name brings emotional burden. because they're comparing themselves to you. People are comparing themselves. Like when your name is brought up in conversation, it's like in comparison. Like, oh, did you see what Collective is doing? How they're doing? Oh, they're married. Like as if you're married right now. Oh, they're married to this person. They might be comparing their life trajectory to yours. They're comparing their success to yours, and it's a burden. It's a challenge because they feel like, oh well, we started at the same spot, so we should be at the same trajectory. Like, but that's not how life works though. You're free to choose your path. You don't follow someone else's path. And you, like I said, you went towards the path of release, less travel, the path less travel. And this is the reason why your reward is different from theirs, because they're not willing to put in the work. They're doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result, while you took a different path for yourself and you put in the work, and this is why you're getting this result. Okay. So that's all I have for the collective. I hope this reading resonated. If it did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.